There are souls that enter your life like quiet miracles, carrying sacred assignments written in languages only your heart can understand. You met him when his spirit was wounded, bearing invisible scars that caused him to withdraw from love's gentle offerings. You became his unspoken healer, the gentle presence that offered everything without demanding anything in return. He felt your light even before he understood what it meant. The angels whisper that you were chosen for this tender mission, not as a savior, but as a mirror reflecting the love he had forgotten he deserved. Your very essence became a balm for wounds he couldn't name. In your presence, his hardened defenses began to melt away like winter snow meeting the warmth of spring. What he experienced with you was unlike anything before. You didn't try to fix him or rush his healing. You simply existed in your authentic truth, creating safe spaces where his damaged heart could finally breathe. Your patience wasn't born from desperation but from a deep understanding. You recognized his soul's potential even when he couldn't see it himself. The divine orchestrated this meeting with a precision that only heaven understands. Your peaceful energy, your gentle strength, your ability to love unconditionally, these weren't accidents. They were spiritual gifts activated for this specific moment in his journey. You healed him in silence, with your presence instead of words, with acceptance instead of judgment. And now, as his heart slowly opens to possibilities he never dared to feel, he realizes that what he experienced with you was sacred. The healing you offered wasn't just comfort, it was transformation. You didn't just help him feel better, you helped him remember who he truly is beneath all the protective armor he's worn for so long. His walls weren't built in a day, and they won't crumble overnight. The angels reveal that he carries wounds from seasons when love felt like betrayal, when vulnerability became a weapon used against him. These aren't just heartbreaks, they're soul fractures that taught him to equate openness with danger. You've witnessed his patterns without judgment. The way he pulls back just when intimacy deepens. How he creates distance when his heart wants to draw closer. This isn't about you or your worth, it's about the frightened child within him who learned that loving meant losing, that trusting meant getting hurt. The divine shows me layers of his protection, fear disguised as indifference, love disguised as anger, hope disguised as cynicism. He's been carrying these burdens so long they feel like parts of his identity. But your presence disrupted this familiar dance of self-sabotage. His past relationships were transactions, give and take, keep score, protect yourself first. With you, he encountered something foreign and terrifying, unconditional acceptance. You didn't try to earn his love or prove your worth. You simply existed, and in your being, he glimpsed what love could feel like without contracts or conditions. The barriers he's built aren't walls keeping you out, they're shields protecting a heart that's forgotten how to trust its own capacity for joy. Every time he retreats, he's not rejecting your love, he's grappling with the terrifying possibility that maybe, just maybe, he's safe enough to let those walls come down. The angels want you to understand, his resistance isn't personal. It's the last stand of old wounds that know their time is coming to an end. Your love is the gentle force that's dismantling defenses he's carried for decades, and that process can't be rushed, only honored. While you hold space for his healing, the angels remind you of a sacred truth: you cannot pour from an empty vessel. Your capacity to love unconditionally is a gift, but it must never turn into self-neglect. The divine placed you in his life not for you to lose yourself, but to remain powerful and authentically you. There's a difference between patient love and depleting yourself. Your soul recognizes this distinction even when your heart wants to give endlessly. The angels whisper that your greatest service to this connection isn't about sacrificing your needs, it's about keeping the very light that initially attracted him to you. He fell in love with your wholeness, not your willingness to fade away. The radiance that called to his wounded spirit came from a woman who knew her worth, honored her boundaries, and lived fully in her own truth. Don't dim that light trying to make him comfortable with his shadows. Your healing energy is most powerful when it flows from abundance, not depletion. When you care for yourself with the same tenderness you offer him, you model what healthy love looks like. You demonstrate that real love doesn't require anyone to become smaller, silent, or invisible. The divine reveals something beautiful: every moment you choose yourself, you're actually choosing the highest version of this connection. You're refusing to create a relationship based on your diminishment. You're insisting that love be a space where both souls can expand, not just one. Keep nurturing your dreams, your friendships, your passions. Maintain the full life that made you magnetic. The angels say he's not just healing from past wounds, he's learning to love a woman who loves herself. And that kind of love? That's the kind that transforms everything it touches. Your self-care isn't selfish, it's sacred. It's how you honor the vessel the divine chose for this holy work. The angels reveal a profound truth: your light doesn't just comfort him, it exposes everything he's been hiding from himself. In your presence, he can't pretend anymore. Your authenticity demands his own, and that terrifies the parts of him that have lived in shadows for so long. You are his mirror, reflecting not who he pretends to be but who he truly is beneath all the protective facades. When he looks at you, he sees the man he could become, the one who loves without fear, who trusts without guarantees, who opens his heart despite past betrayals. This vision both calls to him and frightens him. Your peaceful energy illuminates his inner chaos. Your emotional availability highlights his walls. Your capacity for joy makes his self-imposed limitations painfully obvious. This isn't your fault, it's your gift. You're showing him that another way of being is possible. The divine explains why he sometimes seems uncomfortable around you. You represent everything his wounded self told him he couldn't have. Love without games. Connection without manipulation. Acceptance without conditions. Your very existence challenges every limiting belief he's held about relationships. Sometimes he pulls away not because he doesn't love you, but because being near you makes it impossible to stay small. Your light is medicine, but medicine can feel overwhelming when someone has lived in darkness for so long. You're asking him, simply by being yourself, to remember who he was before fear taught him to hide. The angels whisper, he sees in you the woman he's always prayed for, and that recognition shakes him to his core. You're not just someone he's attracted to, you're the living proof that everything he thought was impossible might actually be within reach. This mirror effect isn't meant to change him, it's meant to awaken him to the truth of who he's always been underneath the armor. Something is shifting inside him, and the angels want you to recognize the subtle signs of his spiritual awakening. It's not dramatic or obvious, real transformation rarely is. It's happening in the quiet moments, in the spaces between words, in the way he's beginning to question everything he thought he knew about love. He's starting to notice things he never paid attention to before. The way you laugh without holding back. How you speak kindly about people even when they've disappointed you. The grace with which you handle difficult situations. These observations are seeds of change taking root in his consciousness. The divine shows me his internal dialogue shifting. Where he once focused on what could go wrong, he's beginning to imagine what could go right. Where he used to see vulnerability as weakness, he's starting to recognize it as courage. Your influence is rewiring his understanding of what strength actually looks like. He's questioning old patterns that no longer serve him. Relationships that felt normal now seem shallow. Conversations that once satisfied him now leave him hungry for deeper connection. The angels say you've shown him a different frequency of relating, and he can't unhear that song now. There are moments when he catches himself wanting to call you, not because he needs something, but because sharing his thoughts with you has become a natural impulse. He's discovering that intimacy doesn't have to be complicated or painful. With you, it feels surprisingly simple. The awakening isn't just about romantic love. It's about remembering his capacity for joy, for trust, for hope. You've reminded him that he doesn't have to live in emotional survival mode forever. There's a part of him that's beginning to believe in the possibility of lasting happiness. This is sacred work happening within him. The old self is making room for the man he's meant to become. The angels want you to understand the sacred dance of his approach and retreat. This isn't rejection, it's the ancient rhythm of a soul learning to trust again. Like waves that rush toward the shore and then pull back, he moves toward love and then retreats to safety, over and over, until finally, the tide changes permanently. Each time he draws closer, old fears surface. The wounded parts of him panic, whispering warnings about being hurt again. So, he creates distance to catch his breath, to remember who he was before you made him feel so much. But something beautiful happens in those spaces apart. He realizes how empty they feel without you. The divine reveals the pattern. He comes close enough to taste the possibility of real love, then retreats when it becomes too real. But with each cycle, he stays closer longer and runs away less far. His resistance is weakening because his heart is strengthening. Your consistent presence is teaching him that love doesn't always end in abandonment. This back and forth isn't about playing games or testing your patience. It's about a man who's never learned to receive love without bracing for its loss. He's practicing vulnerability in small doses, building his capacity for intimacy like strengthening a muscle that's been dormant for too long. The angels whisper something tender. Each time he returns, he comes back more himself. The masks are falling away, piece by piece. The performance is ending. He's discovering that you don't love him despite his imperfections, you love him including them, and that's revolutionary for his wounded heart. Don't take his cycles personally. They're not about your worth or the power of your love. They're about his journey from fear to faith, from protection to presence. And with each return, he's closer to staying, not because he has to, but because he finally trusts that he wants to. The angels reveal that your love carries a healing frequency he's never encountered before. It doesn't demand, manipulate, or try to fix him, it simply exists as a constant invitation to remember his own wholeness. This is medicine in its purest form, working at depths that words cannot reach. Your presence alone has been teaching his nervous system that safety is possible. After years of hypervigilance in relationships, your consistent gentleness is showing his body how to relax into trust. This isn't just emotional healing, it's cellular transformation happening beneath his conscious awareness. The divine shows me how your love works like sunlight on a plant that's been kept in darkness for too long. It doesn't force growth, but it makes growth possible. Your acceptance creates the conditions where his authentic self can finally emerge from behind walls built during times of pain. He's beginning to understand that love doesn't have to hurt to be real. The intensity he's known before was often trauma masquerading as passion. With you, he's discovering that real love feels like coming home, powerful not because it's chaotic, but because it's peaceful. Your love is medicine because it asks nothing of him except honesty. You don't need him to be perfect or completely healed or anything other than exactly who he is right now. This unconditional acceptance is foreign to him, and it's rewiring his entire understanding of his own worth. The angels whisper that even in moments when you're apart, your love continues its healing work within him. The seeds of transformation you've planted don't stop growing when you're not looking. Every kind word, every gentle touch, every moment of understanding is medicine working in his system. He's learning that love can be a sanctuary instead of a battlefield. With you, he doesn't have to be anyone other than himself, and that permission is the most powerful healing force he's ever encountered. The angels want you to know that this connection is part of a larger divine plan that neither of you fully understands yet. What may feel uncertain to your human heart is unfolding with perfect precision in the spiritual realm. Trust the timing, even when it doesn't make sense to your mind. The divine is orchestrating every meeting, every separation, every moment of doubt and every surge of hope. Nothing is random in this sacred dance between your souls. Even his resistance serves a purpose. It's ensuring that when he finally surrenders to love, it will be a conscious choice, not a desperate escape from loneliness. Be still and know that I am God. These words resonate throughout this connection. The angels whisper that your greatest strength lies not in trying to control outcomes, but in trusting the wisdom of divine timing. Your soul already knows what your mind struggles to accept. Everything is happening just as it should. His journey toward you isn't only about overcoming fear, it's about becoming the man worthy of the love you offer. The divine is using every challenge, every setback, and every moment of growth to prepare him for the depth of connection you both desire. This preparation cannot be rushed without compromising the foundation. The angels reveal that prayers are being answered in ways you may not have recognized yet. Every moment of patience you've shown, every boundary you've maintained, and every time you've chosen faith over fear, these are all part of the divine response to your heart's deepest longings. There are forces beyond the physical realm working to align this connection with divine will. Trust that the same power that moves stars and changes seasons is gently guiding both your hearts toward the love that is meant to be. Your role isn't to force or manipulate, it's to remain open, faithful, and true to yourself. The universe never makes mistakes when it comes to matters of the heart. What belongs to you will find you when the time is sacred and right. The angels show me the tender war happening within his heart, the fierce battle between his longing to love you completely and his terror of being that exposed. He wants to surrender to what he feels, but vulnerability has been his enemy for so long that opening up feels like stepping off a cliff into unknown territory. He looks at you and sees everything he's ever wanted, and that vision both thrills and terrifies him. To love you the way his heart demands would require dismantling every defense he's spent years building. It would mean admitting that despite all his past hurts, he still believes in the possibility of lasting love. The divine reveals his secret fears. What if he shows you his whole heart and you decide it's not enough? What if he lets you see his wounds and you can't handle the depth of his damage? What if he loves you completely and you leave anyway? These aren't rational fears, they're the echoes of old betrayals speaking louder than present truth. But something beautiful is happening beneath his resistance. Your consistent presence is slowly convincing him that maybe, just maybe, he's safe enough to try again. Your patience with his process is teaching him that real love doesn't require perfection, it requires authenticity. He's beginning to realize that the vulnerability he's been avoiding is actually the gateway to everything he's ever wanted. The connection he craves with you can only exist if he's willing to show up as his true self, unguarded and unashamed. The angels whisper that his heart is ready even if his mind isn't convinced yet. All those walls he's built are starting to feel like prisons instead of protection. He's discovering that hiding his heart from you means hiding it from the very love that could heal it. He wants to love you without fear, and that wanting is already changing everything. The desire for authentic connection is stronger than the habit of self-protection. The angels bring a message of divine completion. Your work here has been perfect, even in its imperfection. Every moment of uncertainty, every prayer whispered in the dark, every time you chose love over fear, each of these has served the highest good. Now comes the sacred practice of release and trust. True love cannot be forced into existence, it can only be invited and honored. You've extended that invitation with such grace, such patience, and such genuine care. Whether he fully accepts it is his choice to make, and that choice, whatever it may be, does not diminish the beauty of what you've offered. The divine wants you to understand something profound. Your worth was never tied to his decision. You were whole before him, you are whole with him, and you remain whole regardless of what unfolds. The love you've shown is not wasted if it isn't returned in the way you hoped. It's still love, and love is never wasted. Accept where he is right now without needing him to be anywhere else. Accept your own journey without judging how long it's taken or where it has led. Accept that some connections serve their purpose through transformation rather than destination, through healing rather than possession. Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. 1 Peter 5 verse 7. These words carry special meaning for your heart today. The outcome is beyond your control, but the love you carry is yours to manage with wisdom and grace. The angels whisper the ultimate truth: what belongs to you will never require you to abandon yourself to achieve it. Real love magnifies your light, it never diminishes it. Trust that the divine is preparing something beautiful, whether it includes him exactly as you've imagined or reveals itself in ways that exceed your current understanding. Your heart is safe in divine hands. Love with faith, release with grace, and trust that perfect love is already on its way to you.